throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Count with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
Good Wednesday morning out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. Coming up at about 9:45, we'll have Coach Maynard of the Big Elks looking back at the win over Weatherford ahead to senior night on Big Elk Stadium's turf Friday night against Woodward. College football, man, there is more since we got off the air, Jared. Even more and more and more concerning nuggets coming out of Michigan. I guess, what is the rule that they supposedly are breaking? How big of an advantage does that gain? And then what do you think could happen to them? What do you think should happen to Michigan with what's going on up there?
You know who I'd love to get thoughts on this is
Who?
from Coach Maynard.
Oh, yeah, we'll ask him.
You know?
We'll have to ask him about this.
I love picking a coach's brain with stuff like
Let's
this.
hope we don't expose something here. You know, it's strange, though, because think about this. I wonder if that rule applies in the high school ranks, too. Because I know when we were growing up, there would be certain members of the coaching staff, usually the junior high staff, that would go scout.
Sure. Well, you still see that, and that's okay. You can go and scout other teams. But
Well, you can in college.
I'm in high school.
You can?
You can't?
I don't know.
It's been happening for decades.
I know, but
And they're not hiding it if they are.
But have you noticed other coaches at games? I've noticed them at basketball games.
I'm too busy nowadays to even look in the crowd and try to look out for other coaches. But I've seen coaches in when I would leisurely go, or when I was even in high school, and you look over.
Okay,
and
I know, but I'm talking about right now. I get it in high school, yeah. I know the ones that did it. I just wonder if that has been – is it just so much easier now to get the film with Huddle, and so where you don't see guys going?
Big Oak TV and all the other streams.
I mean, that's certainly working for Channel 9.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I mean, all over the state.
Right.
Not even us.
Yeah. Are they using other people's stuff too?
Yes.
Without permission, I assume?
I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some poor sap that's just in the control room recording high school videos.
That sounds like a fun job if you do it legally and ask for permission to use other people's content.
It's pretty wild.
Griffin Communications.
It's pretty wild.
Calling you out, bro.
The way they do that. Every Friday night segment is a bunch of live streams from around the state.
And that's
highlights
cool.
from
It's like a red zone channel for high school football. I've always kind of envisioned that one.
I thought it was cooler when they flew the chopper out to get their own video.
Get their own video, but it'd be really cool if they gave credit to all those other streams.
Not happening.
Not happening.
Not that I've noticed.
Not happening. Maybe we should charge like the NFHS.
We even have a little tag at the end that says you're supposed to ask.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I know a good lawyer who knows about copyright law.
Do you?
I do. I certainly do.
No.
He might have to so have we seen more of our stuff or just that one time?
I've seen other people's stuff.
Other people's stuff?
Yeah.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they did ask for permission, but I never got an email, call, or text from them, and they have my number and email. Believe me, because I've asked them for permission to use their stuff.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Very interesting.
Shouldn't have got me going, Aaron.
Oh, Jared.
Shouldn't have got me going on that one.
Wait till I make you mad about the Rangers here in a second. NBA season opens tonight for Oklahoma City. It was on last night, a couple of games to officially start the NBA campaign. How many wins will the Thunder earn? And then where will they finish in the West in the regular season? Then what's your conference finals, your NBA finals, and your champion? And then the Rangers do have an opponent, the Arizona Diamondbacks. How long has it been since we've had this big a surprise on both sides of a World Series?
Man, I dug deep on this one. You can find one, but you can't find the other. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah,
I think I found one, and I stopped looking when I got back to the mid-'90s. Ran out of time.
Yeah, I mean, like there's times where it's like, okay, this, whoever.
Well, that's why they call it an upset,
Yeah.
because one team is supposed to win, and like, wow, this team came out of nowhere and won. But when's the last time two teams have come out of nowhere and go, well,
Well, I mean, these two teams are historic in one stat that I've found yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, you've already I'm sure you don't care, and I guarantee nobody in Arizona cares. Nobody in the DFW Metroplex cares. But Fox execs, are they pulling their hair out, or could this be some new blood that actually people were excited about seeing outside of – I mean, this is the first time that the Astros or the Dodgers haven't been in the World Series since like 2016. One of those two teams. All the way back to, I think, Cubs-Indians was the last time this happened without one of those two teams.
Cubs-Indians, that was
16.
Yeah. I was in the hospital watching that game.
It was 2016. It's the last time we haven't had either the Dodgers or the Astros in the World Series. So maybe it's a fresh new take, and people will want to watch it. 225-9698. Phone to the text line. It's 225-9698. Give us a call, shoot us a text. We can talk about any of those things. Whatever else might be on your mind, feel free to chime in at 225-9698. If you're going to be outside the listening area, a couple ways to stay in touch with the show. Log on to kadsam.com. Download the app. The app's got it all. Radio, Penny News. Brand new edition of that Penny News is on the website as we speak, thepennynews.com. We'll have the paper copy of the Penny News out. Pick up a free copy of that thing. Check out the deals in it this week. And, of course, Big Elk and Paragon TV on the air Friday with high school football week 9. How are you today, Jared?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Last night's game was pretty intense. It was everything we were – or, well, you probably weren't hoping it was like that the night before because of the way the Rangers won, and it was pretty easy watching for a Game 7 with your team trying to go to the World Series. Last night was different than that, though. It was intense. It was everything you'd want it to be. And there were the Arizona Diamondbacks being able to win that game. And it was just, you kept on waiting for those Philly bats to just, go off, and they just never did. And I thought maybe the sequence of the entire game was in was it the 5th inning? I think it was the 5th inning. Let me figure out how many innings he pitched. Nope, it was in the 4th. It was in the bottom of the 4th. First and third and 2 out. And had the presence of mind, and the pitching coach had the presence of mind to basically intentionally walk Brandon Marsh to get to Rojas. And that was brilliant because Rojas had no chance to get a hit, blew him away, and ended that threat. Still up at that point, 2-1 was the score. Or they were down, 2-1, because Philly had taken the lead in that inning. That's right. They had the double in the gap, and then another hit by Realmuto, and it got down there to first and third and 2 outs, and they were able to wiggle off that hook, keep it 2-1, and then what happened in the top of the 5th? Bam, 2 runs, and Arizona was ahead. I thought that was to me the key exchange in the whole game was right there from the bottom of the 4th to the top of the 5th.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the latter stages of the game. There's situations where Philly would get runners on, and the pitching for Arizona stepped up, get out of jams more than once. So, the pitching was awesome for Arizona. I like the resiliency of not. I mean, that is the thing that, as a Ranger fan, scared me the most about Philadelphia was having to go there. So I was clearly pulling for Arizona. But when they got the lead, the 1-run lead, tied up, gave it up, right, 2-1, and I thought, well, that's it, because this atmosphere, we've talked about this, is insane and electric and crazy, and they kept it between their ears and kept calm and played their brand and came out with the win. So I tip my hat to that. That showed me a lot as far as, this team, kind of like the Rangers on the road too, just not letting the booze or the chance or the whatever get to them and staying resilient. That stood out to me was the later portions of the game, because even when they got the lead, I thought, well, Philly's going to hit a homer here. Harper's going to hit a homer here.
It's all waiting on Harper or Schwarber or even Trey Turner. You're just waiting on somebody to get the big hit that really busted it open, and it never happened.
Never happened.
What do you think I could have – how much money do you think I could have gotten out of you if I'd have told you going back for Game 6 at Houston with the Astros up 3-2 and going back to Game 6 to Philly with the Phillies up 3-2, how many odds you think you'd have given me that if I'd have said, you know what, it's going to be Texas and Arizona, with the home team having to lose both Game 6 and Game 7?
If you had said
the road team is going to win 4 in a row,
I wouldn't have jumped on that. The odds of that, just for both of them winning,
for both of them
4
winning
in a row. The odds, I don't know the odds, but that would have been.
They're high.
Well, maybe if I had 100 to burn, sure.
Even if you thought, even if your little Ranger heart thought, okay, we can win in 7. Ain't nobody thought Arizona was winning 2 in Philly.
No.
Nobody thought that was happening.
No.
So it's pretty amazing that they were both able to. By the way, home teams facing elimination in this postseason are 0-5. Nobody's won a game on their home field when they were facing elimination in the entirety of the playoffs so far. Nobody. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely amazing. The Diamondbacks, you know what they're the second team ever to do?
What do we got? What is that?
Qualify for the World Series with a negative season-long run differential.
Oh, wow.
Only the 1987 Twins have done it before them, and guess what? Those 1987 Twins won the World Series. Carroll was incredible last night. 3 hits, 2 steals. Second youngest dude ever in a playoff game to have 3 hits and 2 steals. You know who the youngest was? It's a guy you definitely know. An old dude that you definitely know.
Who's that?
Ty Cobb.
Ty Cobb
is the only guy younger.
Let's go way back.
Yeah, to have 3 hits and 2 steals in a playoff game. And then these 2 teams are the 5th and 6th teams ever to do something. You know what that is?
No.
Make the World Series within 2 years of a 100-loss season.
I heard that stat talked about last night.
Number 5 and number 6 all time are the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. The turnaround has been swift, to say the least.
It's impressive. It's why you like baseball. You never know when going into opening day, this could be the year. Despite what happened the last year or 2 years or 10 years.
Scott got it. He texted Cobb. He must have seen that stat as well.
But that's why you love this sport. You can make quick turnarounds. You can make quick acquisitions, trades, pick up off of waivers. I mean, whatever it is, and you just get going on a roll too. I mean, Arizona, I think I saw this stat. They won like a total of 9 games in July. Something to that effect. I forget the stat.
Yeah, they came on. It was like you kind of, there, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Objects in the mirror are closer than they perceived to be.
Right.
Down the stretch of that season. Yeah, it's. I think it's. I think it's pretty.
Listen,
cool.
for Ranger fans who think that, okay, we got the team we wanted. Listen,
you better be ahead going into the 7th inning.
Better be cautious here.
You better be ahead going into the 7th inning and maybe even the 6th. Now that Saul Frank last night was terrible, and Ginkel, holy Moses, Kevin Ginkel, that dude. I don't even know if you could catch it in a fishing net, much less hit it with a baseball bat. The way that he was pitching so far in this series, but it's obvious that with Thompson, Saul Frank, Ginkel, and Sewald, it's like I talked to you off the air. It's like the Royals teams of the mid-2010s. If they could get to the lead if they could get to the 7th inning with the lead, you were in really big trouble because of the 3 arms they had coming out of the bullpen. That's the way it feels like for this also. Salfrank's a little bit I think he's a little bit shakier than those guys were. But Thompson and Ginkel and Sewald have been awesome. Absolutely awesome. So it's weird because they're almost a mirror image or the opposite of each other. Because for Arizona, you're trying to get into the bullpen of Texas. If you're Texas, you're trying to avoid the bullpen of Arizona.
The only way you want to see their bullpen is if you're up.
Yeah, like long relievers, not those dudes.
Right.
It's a fascinating series. Young guys, Carroll and Carter on each side. Carroll's going to be the Rookie of the Year in the National League. Top 4 or 5 MVP voting probably. But now, obviously, I think Garcia has kind of captured the baseball public by storm with what he's done the last few games, and just his personality seems pretty infectious. And maybe that's what gets people to watch.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the execs at Fox freaking out because there's not a big name team here, not a Yankee or Red Sox or Phillies or Dodgers, or Houston. But and I said this off air. I watch every World Series that I can. I'm a baseball fan. There's going to be your purists that are going to watch no matter who the participant is. But then I think the brand of baseball too. You got the stories are cool with the team of destinies, with Texas and also Arizona, and you mentioned the players themselves. And those stories kind of form themselves as the series goes on.
Mm-hmm.
But will viewership numbers be down? Maybe, because it's not huge market teams, traditional.
Yeah, even though those
teams.
Are big markets.
They are big
Phoenix
markets.
and
Phoenix is
DFW
is a big market.
big market.
Yeah, but you're not.
It's just not
if it's like when Boston was on their run back in 2004, I'm like, oh, this is fine. I want to see if Boston can pull this off. And can the Cubs break the curse? I'm watching that. Even when Houston was like, okay, can someone beat these guys? I want to see them lose, and I'm watching. But then, like I said, and I'm thinking about it all day, but there might be some just novice fan like, well, who's in it? Who's in? Who? But we'll see. I hope it's an exciting series. I hope it's not a boring blah series.
Number 5 and number 11. TV markets.
5 being Phoenix?
No, 5 is
really?
DFW. 11
Phoenix is sneaky big,
Mm-hmm.
That whole Glendale, Phoenix. Jim's very familiar with that area.
Houston
obviously.
7, Philly 4.
Yeah. Well,
not a ton of difference there.
There'll be a lot of interest in this area. Obviously, there's with the regional.
Well, I know for me, the last 3 days, I've had chances to watch Sunday Night Football, which was Philly and Miami, Monday Night Football, San Francisco and Minnesota, and the opening night of the NBA with the defending champs and the Lakers. And I watched baseball all 3 nights.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like any of those games were duds.
No.
It's
a fun time.
Opening night NBA versus Game 7 of NLCS isn't quite the same, but still, point remains, I watch baseball every time. So maybe those numbers aren't going to be quite as bad as you think. Are you going to again?
I hate to get political, but I wonder if some of the politically charged stuff in the NBA turns people away to go, I'd rather watch America's Pastime.
Maybe. For sure.
The NBA, I could pick that up in March.
Yeah.
Or December on Christmas Day.
And especially after last night. Because last night was the opening day.
Right.
After that, I don't know how much the NBA is going to cut into the World Series crowd moving forward, starting Friday all the way through. Obviously football, Saturday. Let's see. I'm sure the
Saturday night games.
I'm sure
football,
the game is Saturday night for the World Series because
they're all
at night now. How cool would it be if it was Friday afternoon? Seriously, why don't they think about doing that?
I personally love it.
But so on Saturday night, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Colorado, UCLA, Oregon State. It's not a ton of there's listen, it's a good thing it's in next week. Game 7 might be able to pull some viewers if it happens. But next week's college football slate is unbelievable from start to finish. I mean, the games that we already know the times of, LSU Bama's at night. Missouri Georgia is in the afternoon. We all think OU OSU Bedlam's going to be in the morning. Kansas State Texas is a game. Washington USC is a game. And and that's a 6:30 game. So that'd be kind of butting right up against it. Anyway, I think more people might watch than what you think. So it may not be quite as sad a thing as everybody's going to make it out to be today. It's a crazy series. There's no, there can't be anybody out there that had this, right?
Oh no,
this series.
No,
I know the Rangers were 50-1 before the season started, and the Diamondbacks were 100-1.
Wow.
Wish you had a ticket on that. Let's talk a little NBA before we get Coach Maynard in here. We might be able to, we may be able to incorporate the Michigan stuff with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the season opened last night. The Lakers. We're gonna. I know where it's. I guarantee I know where it's at. So the NBA season opened last night. Lakers fell at the defending champion Nuggets, and the Suns tripped up the Warriors on the road. Everybody else basically plays tonight, and that includes our Oklahoma City Thunder. It is amazing how much momentum or how much curiosity that there is around this team and around this organization with what they're building. And I wonder how much of that goes with what we saw here before. Like, how much are people equating this young core with the success of the first iteration of the Thunder and that young core?
Yeah, because it's a lot of the same pieces behind the scenes. You know, same ownership, but they don't have a lot to say. But mainly Sam Presti. And so it's the same blueprint, and I think that is why it's so intriguing. Like, okay, that is what happened then. Look how far they got. And now it seems like the same kind of I mean, with some tweaks and with how the evolution of the game has gone between now and then, there's different, looking pieces, but mainly because of the youth and the way that Sam Presti has built this thing from the ground up through the draft, through acquisitions and stuff like that. That's why everyone's kind of, if it was a different GM, I mean, there would still be excitement, obviously, but I think that's why there's intrigue for people who know the history of the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is the same guy who did it with Westbrook and Durant, and eventually Harden, and they got all the way to the NBA Finals. He's kind of looked like he's doing the same thing here, and with some really talented young guys. I think that's why there's a lot of interest, a lot of outside interest too. So like even like guys who know, like you hear like podcasts and people talking, like, man, watch out for the Thunder, right? Even Kevin Durant a couple years or last season in a podcast said something like, the Thunder guys, man, watch those guys. It's all like you're hearing like there's rumblings in the league, like this is a team we better be ready for because they're up and coming.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting season because clearly ahead of schedule last year, right? No one thought that they would be a team that would be in the play-in. It was still tank mode. Mm-hmm. So that is already what you would consider ahead of schedule. The year, I'm trying to remember. It gets all kind of mucked up in my mind. Which season was which, right? Okay, so there was two. All right. There was two flat-out tanking seasons. 2021 and 21-22, in which they won less than 30 games. And then last year, that was the talk. Okay, is this another one of those, or is SGA too good? And SGA was too good, and next thing you know, they go from 24 wins to 40. So in the grand scheme of things, with what we thought after the bubble season, tear it down. Almost, even if this is still a play-in game type team, which I think most people would kind of be disappointed in at this point. But even if it is, say they jump from 10th to 7th, still in the play-in, but win one of those games and go to a series. That's still pretty remarkable for where we probably thought this thing would be in year 4 of the turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I'm saying is they're already ahead of schedule. And this season, even if it's similar to last, it's still ahead from back then. Now, I think this season is all about how far ahead of schedule is this team. And I think a lot of the answer to that question has to do with what Chet Holmgren is this early.
Right. Finding out what he can do.
Yeah, what is he?
Yeah, if watching him play and then seeing what kind of trajectory he's on, I don't think that's something that we as fans need to realize is this is technically his first year, and there are going to be potholes. There's going to be speed bumps. There's going to be, and that's the thing I'm going to keep telling myself is he's going to have struggles. We can't go into this thinking he's the next coming of Kevin Durant and he's going to change everything and we're going to get back to the Western Conference Finals or something. And so to kind of elaborate, kind of keep going what you're talking about is ahead of schedule, right? So there's going to be times, and again, I'm saying this out loud for myself, for my own benefit, is when things are happening, the lulls of the season, however it ends, I'm going to keep telling myself, this team's ahead of schedule. Maybe, we're going to see stuff that maybe they're on schedule, right? But they've set the bar so high because of how they performed last year, and then the addition of Chet, we want them to continue to be ahead of schedule. And that might be a thing Sam's going to kind of reiterate on, and Dagnall is saying, listen, we're not supposed to be this good this early. So there's going to be speed bumps. There's going to be some roadblocks and some stuff we have to learn as a team to move forward with. But so I'm kind of curbing my enthusiasm, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm enthused. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm interested. But I'm kind of like, wait a minute. We are way ahead of schedule. So I'm not going to sit here expect to compete for the West this year.
You just don't know how they're going to handle it.
Right.
Is this going to be a full-fledged play everybody to try to make the playoffs, or is it about developing guys or seeing what you've got? Because here's the deal. They have so many assets in the draft that you have to figure out who you've got and what, do they fit in the plans? Does Ousmane Dieng, I realize it's only his second year, but where is he fitting in these plans? Poku is another guy that seems like he's out of the plans, but now here he is, still kind of hanging around. He's still so young. I heard yesterday Jim basically poo-pooing the idea of Giddey ever being an all-star while saying Jalen Williams will be. Jalen Williams is like 3 years older than Giddey. I mean, that's the thing that you forget about some of these guys is just how young they are. And I think that's it's constant. Oh, you got too many picks. You're going to have to trade it, which probably you do. But there's a couple of things hanging out there for the future of this franchise that you got to take in consideration before you start trading 4 or 5 first-round picks for some guy that's going to make $40 or $45 million a year. And that is one, if you're going to have to pay these guys.
Yeah.
Or move off of them.
Right.
And if you move off of them, more than likely a reason is because you can't afford them. So what's the best thing to happen to replenish that stock? Being able to draft some dude for nothing. Versus, it's always free. And the idea of free agency here is so moot Nobody comes here as a free agent. We've seen it. And it's not like the Thunder haven't been one of those marquee franchises in basketball in this time that they've been here. They have been. They've been as consistent as anybody for the period that they've been in Oklahoma City. For 15 years, they've been, right? I mean, what, top 3 or 4, even with the last couple of years. San Antonio, and they've been pretty bad too. Miami and Golden State, or wherever LeBron was, right? I mean, but the Thunder have been that top of the mountain. So and they still couldn't then. So that's not something I think you could plan on. And it may not be something that you can even be able to use because of what you've already drafted and what you've already acquired. I think it's fascinating. There's not a bunch of difference. They won 40 games last year. Sacramento won 48 and were third. Thunder were 10th.
Yeah.
I know. So, I mean, that's 8 games. I get it, but it's also still not just a ton of difference.
No.
I think, for me, as far as wins, Vegas number's 44. I think they're going to win like 46 or 47. And here's why. Because they're young. Being young in the regular season in the NBA is worth 2 or 3 wins. Just because a lot of the other teams aren't. And being young and hungry. I mean, think of the guys on the bench for the Thunder. You didn't get more hungry than them. Trying to stay in the league, or trying to stay on this team, or trying to prove to another team when they, that they can play in this league. And that's the guys on the bench, much less the other ones. You don't think Chet Holmgren isn't hungry to go play NBA basketball and show people what he can do? And so, therefore, that's why I think maybe the Thunder. I don't think they're going to be the 3rd or 4th or 5th best team in the West when you think of best. But I do think they'll have that record, just because I think they'll win games because they're hungry. We've seen it from this franchise forever. Mm-hmm. They're normally pretty young, and they always play their tails off, right? And so that's where I think that they probably end up a little higher up the food chain in the West, a lot like Sacramento last year, if we're being honest, a lot like them, where, they were the 3rd seed, but then who'd they draw in the first round? Golden State. No one picked them to win that series, and guess what? They didn't. I think that's where the Thunder's kind of headed for me this year.
So good for 8 seed, 7 seed?
No, I think they'll be in the top 5.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. No, absolutely in the playoffs. I think they'll be right 5-4-3, just depending on how many wins everybody has.
I think I said 45 wins. I think that it's going to be – the West is going to be tough. When you have Denver, you have Phoenix, you have Golden State, even the Lakers, Sacramento. We'll see. Can they do that again? I think Memphis is set for a drop-off a little bit. You hear about Steven Adams out for the year.
And Morant can't play for 25.
Morant, there's that. And so I think that's hard to recover from. So I think I'm maybe not as high as seed-wise, though, because everything I said about the West, I think it's going to be a jumbled mess around the middle. So I think they're around a 7, maybe 8 seed. Yeah,
that's the hard part, is because you just don't – one game could make 4 numbers in the seeding.
You're right.
But
you just mentioned the difference between Sacramento and Oklahoma City.
Yeah, that was 8 wins between
3rd
3rd and 10th.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling
that's a month right there that could go the other way, a month of games. But
well, and I don't think it's going to be that many this year.
You think it'll be closer?
I think it'll be closer from 3 to 10 this season. But I just think they'll win a couple that they'll just end up that way. Who you got in the Western Conference Finals?
I like Denver to get back. They're good, and I think they'll get back to the Western Conference Finals. This one I was torn between Golden State and Phoenix. I think a full season with that Phoenix with Bradley Beal and obviously Durant and
Devin Booker.
Booker, thank you. I think they find their stride and get to the Western Conference Finals. So Phoenix versus Denver in the conference finals. How about you?
I was trying not to pick that same thing. I really was. Last year it was the Lakers. They looked pretty good last night with what they acquired. that kind of turned their team into a totally different thing now, where they've got all kinds of depth. I think they're going to be one of those teams to me. The Lakers are going to be down the list in the seedings because they don't care about the regular season.
No.
But you're not going to want to play them in the playoffs.
Right.
Clippers would be that same team. I wonder how much the Clippers, with the new rules about qualifying for the awards postseason individually, you got to play a certain amount of games. Does that entice Kawhi and to play more, therefore making them better?
You know what's crazy is with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers, I didn't even consider them. They've just been a disappointment since they paired together.
They just haven't got to play. I mean, they haven't played together much.
They don't play together,
Yeah. With Westbrook there, I mean, he kind of carried them at the end of that season to get to where they got.
I even forgot about Westbrook.
Yeah.
Shame on me.
But that firepower, it's just hard to see it not being Denver and Phoenix. In the East, it's kind of the same thing. I think there's two teams. I think there's more in the West that can make it. I don't know if there's anybody but two teams that can make it into the Eastern Conference Finals. Boston and Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Maybe the Heat. We see the Heat do things in the playoffs. What in the world is going on in Philly?
I can't. It's too much drama.
Can Cleveland jump up? Yeah, Boston and Milwaukee for me. So you got in the finals?
I have Phoenix. It's hard to repeat. It's hard to repeat in any major sport. It is absolutely hard to do it. That's why I got a lot of respect for Denver. They're going to be good again. You got Joker on that team. They're going to be solid. Jamal Murray. But I again, it's hard to repeat. And I think Phoenix, they have the skill set to bring them down. So I'll put Phoenix in the finals against Milwaukee. Dame Lillard is big for them, and Giannis, and that's a pairing I think can be absolutely lethal in a very weak East, like you mentioned. I'll go with Phoenix and Milwaukee in the finals.
I'm gonna go the exact opposite.
You're going opposite.
We got the same four. I'll go Denver and Boston. I think Boston, Drew Holiday, really helps them. I think it's a massive upgrade over Smart.
Oh yeah,
Marcus Smart's probably a better defensive player, but not by a ton. I can promise you Drew Holiday is a better offensive player than Marcus Smart. And I think he fits. And another guy, watch out for Kristaps Porzingis on that team as well. I think he gives them what Al Horford couldn't, because Al Horford just kind of got old.
Yeah.
So I got Boston and Denver. I'm actually going to go with give me Denver.
You're going with
the Joker is a bad man. I mean, a bad man. So I'll take Denver.
I went with the Bucks.
Okay.
I went with the Bucks. They got Giannis got his deal. He got the bag. There's more. It's more a win now and keep it going.
Yeah.
They're not. It wasn't a one-trick pony for them winning that one title, and you'd think the team would break up. You think Giannis would have been gone by now. You see that a lot nowadays. He wants to be there. They made it happen. They went and got Lillard. They're motivated. They're locked in. I got them as the champs.
I heard Rachel Nichols say this yesterday on Cowherd's show when I was at lunch. Giannis is different than a bunch of these guys. He's not as results-driven as he is just, hey, show me you're giving me enough to win, then it's on my back if we don't.
There you go.
And that's with him signing that extension. I think he was they showed him that they're trying, and he said, okay, good enough. Joined now by head coach of the Big Elk football team, Coach Zach Maynard. Coach, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. We were talking off the air. One of the big stories in football and college football for sure is what's going on at Michigan with the scouting and the taping of the sidelines. How much are you guys in the moment on offense, at least? How much do you worry about changing up your stuff so that the other team can't get a read on what you're calling out to your guys, or is that one of the reasons why you kind of do what you do by running it in and telling everybody what you know what I'm saying?
Well, we put it on armbands actually this year, but it's on there. Each play's on there 7-8 times and has 7 to 8. Kind of like the softball, like Coach Murray does with softball, where they're calling fastball, but they've got fastball on there 18 times, and so you can't tell really what it is or any of those things. So we don't really worry about that. We're not really quite at that. What would the right depth as Michigan's getting in 60 different formations and doing 500 different things. But it's an interesting conversation of what should be allowed and not allowed. I think it goes back to kind of like the Houston Astros baseball, maybe a little bit. I don't know. There was a point in time in sports when stealing signs wasn't. It was change your signs and not the other team's fault for picking up on them. And I think that's all changed a little bit.
That's what I keep asking myself is why aren't teams just changing up their signs week to week, or is it just too complicated of a process to do that? I mean, if there's even a suspicion of someone stealing our signs, like, okay, we're going to switch this up, and they're not going to know it.
Well, and that's why, like even us, our armbands are completely different from one game to the next. The signals are still the same, but the play, whether it's black or purple, all those change. And so I don't know. It's just it's not like it's a whole bunch of extra work. It just takes 20 minutes longer on a Sunday to change it. However, if he did send a guy to go video the team, it's more of like an unwritten rule. Like if it was baseball in the 80s, he'd be getting one thrown at his head.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to look at. There's a video of the Ohio State-Michigan game, and you can see everybody on the defensive staff looking at the sideline of Ohio State, and as soon as they make a call, they start doing different things. And then one of the play sheets, it looks like they have got like the signals, not like from the other side what it means, and it's the first series of the game. So it's not like they picked up on that throughout the game and made it at halftime. They had that prepared before the game ever started. I think that's the part that's freaking people out.
And I don't think it's if that's the case, I don't think that's necessarily right. Kind of like go back to when what's the story with Mike Leach at OU Texas? He leaves the play sheet on there, and the first play's reverse. Well, they fake the reverse, and everybody runs to the reverse. Well, it backfired on them. Mm-hmm. Obviously that was planned in by Leach, but if it hadn't been and it went the other way, that would have been Leach's fault.
Right.
Because Texas wasn't looking for it. However, it sounds to me like Michigan is looking.
Yeah.
And some people would say that's to find an edge. They're trying to find an edge. Well, I don't know that that's it doesn't sound very ethical.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Well, it's against the rules for him to be there, unlike, like you guys can go watch if you don't have anything to do on a Friday. But it's definitely against the rules to video the signals during a game. I mean, this is almost, Spygate. That was even like in walkthroughs. And that wasn't even at. I mean, this is at the game.
At the games
that this is happening. So I think Michigan's going to get in big time trouble because the NCAA doesn't have anything else to do, and they want to figure out a way to show that they still matter. They still have power, and this could be it.
Yeah, no, I think that's big, and Harbaugh has done some things. It's not like it's strike one for him.
No. He didn't get to coach, the first first three this year because of kind of thumbing his nose at the COVID rules or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Let's go back to last Friday night. Big game right here in Big Elk Stadium. The Elks able to defeat Weatherford 21-14, set in second in the district now, needing to win one of these last two to have a home game. Give us your thoughts. It was intense. It was chippy. It was physical. It was everything rivalry games are planned on being, and you guys were able to find out, make just enough plays to win.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the moral of the story. We didn't, we really didn't play overly well. Second half, it felt like we played a little better, especially defensively, because we made some adjustments that I think they only had about 40 yards total offense in the second half, but that was because our guys for whatever reason were amped up and running upfield, and they were just running underneath us, and instead of seeing us do what we usually do, which is ball all that up and make it bounce, and then we tackle them for a no gain or a little bit of a loss or a little bit of a gain. So it felt like they gashed us a couple times, not just because we weren't playing good technique. Really looking back at the film, we don't block the right people. We don't have good splits. We won the game because we played really, really hard. We were extremely physical, and we made the play when it absolutely had to be made. But as far as executing the actual game plan, we really didn't do a very good job of that.
Offensively, what I'm liking about the culture that we have going here is, offensively running the football. It felt like early it was tough. But sticking to the game plan. And there was not a sense of, at least us in the press box and even in the crowd, like there's not a sense of panic. Like, okay, we can't run it. We got to throw. And then as the game wore on, it seemed like your guys wore them out up front.
Yeah, and that's what I told the kids and what we're doing and what we're going to be. And those runs are going to – it may start with 1 or 2 yard gains, and then – it's going to turn into 3 and 4, and then it's going to turn to 5 and 6, and then eventually you get the big explosive ones because it's just our society today. People don't want to sit in there and take that on all the time, and that's kind of who we are. We're going to win a war of attrition and fight for every ounce and inch that we can get, and ultimately that's football to me. That's what our kids, I think, are starting to really like. So. And we've got some things that we can do and do differently. There's some things that Coach Josie wanted to do that I didn't let him do. We went up 21-7, felt like we had a really good handle on the game. Just wanted to hold on to the football and kind of get out of there with the win because it just felt like we had all the momentum and everything was in the right. We were in complete control, even though the scoreboard didn't look like it did the previous 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Just wanted to hey, hold on to the football. Let's get out of this thing with the win and not get anybody hurt.
Hanging out with Coach Maynard here ahead of the senior night. Now that definitely was your call though on third down to run that naked bootleg down the sideline with Logan.
No, Josie. Actually, it came from the booth. Shane Thornton saw it early in the game in the second quarter. He's like, okay, well we've got one shot with it. It's going to work one time. And so just keep it in the back pocket, and then I forget about it. And Coach Josie comes to me after during that timeout and says, "Hey, we've got the boot. Let's make sure we get who we want over here and run it." And I said, "Okay, let's do it." And sure enough, it went.
Yeah, it was easily done. Now coming up Friday night, senior night, Woodward comes to town. It's been a little bit of a struggle for them, obviously, this season. What do you see from the Boomers that could cause you a little bit of a problem on Friday if you're not ready to go?
They're going to play hard. They really do. They play hard. They get after it. And they are. They're going to get in 30 different versions of empty. And they're going to throw it around and sling it around. And defensively, they're going to play hard. They do. They play really hard for him. And, it'll be an interesting game for sure. We'll have to come out and do things right, especially early, and not let people behind us and give up big plays.
This is a game, when Weatherford comes to town, you get up for it. When you're playing Clinton, you get up for it. But this is a game. It feels like there's been this rivalry within these two communities, whether it be on the football field, basketball court, baseball field, whatever. Is there talk like that going on? Like, okay, this is a team we really want to beat.
Yeah, I think our kids right now, when the ball rolls out there, regardless of who it is, they really want to win. They really want to be physical. They really want to, dominate the line of scrimmage, dominate the game from a physicality standpoint. I call it the hitting contest. You got to win the hitting contest on Friday nights, and I don't think that changes. However, I do understand that there's some history between the two schools, and I think our kids will be excited about the opportunity. And regardless of who we have these last 2 weeks. I told the kids Saturday in the film session, if we don't fix a couple things, it's going to get us beat down the road. However, if we fix the execution and we play with the mentality of we're going to run the football and we're going to hit you with big plays and we're going to play really good defense, the sky is going to be the limit for this group. But we have to practice with intensity and with the intention of fixing our mistakes and our problems.
Similar situation, as last year. These last two games, you had to have one to wrap up district last year. You have to have one to have a home playoff game this year. What can your guys have learned from what happened last year to make these next two a little bit more efficient in the way that they prepare and the way that they play?
Well, I think it's just about execution, early on. And like, those other two games we had a year ago, the last two, didn't execute overly well, weren't overly excited to play the game. We were ready to go and almost get it done and get to the playoffs. I think the motivation for these 2 weeks, even in practice, is much different than it was a year ago. A year ago we were 7-1, and really our mistakes, we were winning in spite of our mistakes. This year I think we've lost a game or two that we lost because of our mistakes, and I think that they see where we could be really. Our kids are understanding how good we can really be if we get them fixed, because it's pretty evident on film if we just block this guy or use the proper technique in this situation. We're a lot better football team.
So speak to your seniors. It is senior night. Not hopefully take care of business. Not the last time they play at Big Oak Stadium, but we'll be celebrating them on Friday night. Speak to their contribution to the program.
Oh, they've been great. They've been a part of the last 3 years that I've been here and been extremely successful. Really hard workers. Nose of the grindstone type of kids who come to work every day and work really hard. And there's only 8 or 9 of them, and so kudos to them for playing a game, and that a lot of the rest of their peers, in their class, for whatever reason, I don't know, didn't come out and play, but this group's outstanding. They work hard. They're there every day for weights. They are great leaders. Just outstanding kids that have really helped us grow this year and become, who we're starting to become.
Coach, thank you. Good luck to you guys on Friday night, and we'll be right there awaiting the results of the Boomers and the Big Elks. It's head coach Zach Maynard joining us here on a Wednesday morning. Everybody have a great Wednesday. What we're going to do tonight? There's no baseball to watch. Thunder. Can you watch the Thunder?
Watch the Thunder. I'm going to watch a little girl practice basketball. That's all I'm doing. That's the basketball I'll be watching.
Okay, well, that'll do it. We'll be back tomorrow. Skinny on Sports right here on the Sports Animal.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.
That ball is blistered around.